Hackgedicht, der hochprozentige literarische Podcast.
Herr Nelles,
wir sind wieder da.
wie geht's? Alles gut?
Ja, mir geht's blendend.
Das ist schön.
Obwohl ja draußen scheiß Wetter ist, ne? Es könnte jetzt scheiß Wetter kommen gleich.
Ja.
Aber wir sitzen im Trockenen.
Wir haben ein
im
Glasdach
Heißen.
über uns, das wird spannend.
Wir sitzen im teuer heißen, wir haben wieder Bier dabei und wir haben einen Gast.
Genau.
Aber erstmal möchte ich sagen, ich freue mich, dass wir wieder zusammen
Es ist lange her, ne?
einen Podcast machen.
Du hattest 7000 Auftritte
Ungefähr,
und
ja.
Corona,
Corona hatte ich auch kurz, ja.
also alles quasi.
Alles,
Sehr
volle
gut.
Pulle.
Das ist gut.
Ja, ist doch super immer.
Ja.
Ja, wir haben, wie gesagt, wir haben Bier dabei und wir haben einen Gast heute Abend. Heute Abend haben wir den Gast, das ist der Steve Marks aus Australien.
Hallo, guten Tag alles.
Ja, und
Steve, schön, dass du da bist.
Dankeschön.
Nice to have you here.
Vielen Dank, yes.
wir haben uns heute Abend entschieden, dass wir den gesamten Abend auf Englisch machen. Das wird uns dazu führen, dass wir ein bisschen üben. Ne? Uns fehlen noch mal ein paar Worte. Wenn wir also was falsch sagen sollten, Steve, bitte bescheinige uns das mit einem You asshole, you did wrong.
Yes. Hallo alles, ich heiße Steve Marks und ich komme aus Australien. Ich wohne hier in Cologne und ja, hallo. Ich bin 34 Jahre alt und ich komme zu Deutschland. Ich habe eine schöne Freundin, sie ist deutsch und
Ja.
so ja, ich komme von Australien zu Deutschland zu ja, wohnen zusammen. So,
Perfect.
Okay.
how's my German?
Better than our English.
Oh, cool. Congratulations to me.
So first of all, we like to open the beer, and we have a Jupiler. I was told that it's not called Jupiler because it comes from the city of Jupil, and they say Jupiler.
It's a Belgian
It's a Belgian beer, exactly.
Pils, I think.
Yeah.
So, los geht's.
Okay, let's do it.
Und Prost.
Cheers.
We're doing it in
Prost.
English. We say cheers. Yes.
Cheers.
Vielen Dank.
Cheers, mate.
Schmeckt gut. Warst du schon mal in Belgien
Ja. Yes.
zu spielen?
Ich habe vor kurzem wirklich 2 Auftritte in Belgien gehabt bei sehr, sehr heißem Wetter.
Okay.
It was very, very hot, yeah.
Today is hot also here in Cologne.
Absolutely,
Yes.
yeah. It's very schwül.
Yeah.
So we have air condition today because we are not anymore in the rich Marienburg. We're in downtown in a small garage, but with air condition.
Yeah, we changed the place. And Steve, if you're ready, we'll start with some questions with you.
Let's roll.
Okay.
Ask away. I'm here for you and for your audience, so ask me whatever you like.
Okay.
Okay, what I always wanted to know, before we start with everything, what is it like living in a country where half of the most venomous animals in the world live? Wait. You have the most poisonous spiders, scorpions, snakes, and that live in the midst of people, in front of party, and in the houses, in the forests, in the water, everywhere in this country. They say Australia is way ahead when it comes to antidotes. Have you ever had contact with these animals, or in other words, have you ever been bitten?
Contact, yes.
Which-
Bitten, no.
Which contact?
So I live in Sydney, Australia, which
Okay.
I'm sure 99% of people have heard of.
Small village, yeah.
Small village called Sydney, Australia. We have in Sydney, Australia, a specific type of spider, spinner, called the Sydney funnel web. And this is one of the most venomous spiders in the world. And basically, they burrow or they dig these small holes in the earth and they just live in the grass. So these specific spiders live only outdoors And of course, Australian people love to play sports. So we would play football in the back garden, and you'd be kicking your football around. And luckily, this specific day, I had shoes on, proper shoes, closed. I looked down at my foot thinking, oh, wow, I have this big bit of dirt on my foot. And it's one of these Sydney funnel web spiders on my foot. So, of course, I screamed like a woman. I kicked the spider in the air and I run away. And I had some trauma and didn't go in the backyard for some weeks. But it's extremely common to see these spiders indoors, especially when it's very hot weather outside or if there's rain that occurs. The spiders, of course, they don't want to live in the rain or in the very hot, so they come inside. And usually they might stand on your wall, and yes, they look scary, but if you just leave them alone, they leave you alone too. You know, if you go and poke it with a stick or a broom, of course they might get a bit pissed off and they might come towards you.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the attitude, you leave them alone, they leave you alone. But the same cannot be said for something you did not list there, which is, of course, sharks.
Yeah, okay.
So sharks are a big thing in Australia. There's always close calls and near misses. And also jellyfish is a big thing. We have these very tropical jellyfish called box jellyfish with these very long tentacles. And if they touch you, you better get to a cranking house very fast. You need to get to a hospital 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Okay.
Or you're
dead.
Nice to meet you.
Is this the most dangerous animal?
Box jellyfish is it'll be up there with I think there's some Brazilian snake that's like the number one.
Okay.
The Kegelschnecke, it's a water snake. Mm-hmm. Very small.
Yeah.
As poisonous as.
It's crazy. Australia is, since I left Australia, I've noticed that there are many dangerous animals in Australia. And it's crazy, like here in Germany and Europe in general, when you just go for a nice walk in the park or along the Rhine, or you visit the mountains and go for a walk, there's very little sort of bugs and beetles flying around in the air. But in Australia, there are bugs everywhere, flying on your face, on the back of your neck, on your arms. And if you want to eat any food outside, forget it. No. You'll be eating and they'll be eating as well. They'll be eating your food. They'll be, mosquitoes. They'll be biting you and eating you. It's a bit of a crazy place now that I explain it to your listeners, right?
For sure. It was one of the most interesting questions I had to ask because I had to ask this question before everything else the people would know about you.
Of course. It's often usually one of the most opening lines I hear. So people go, I speak my best German to people here in Germany. And of course they go, oh, where are you from? Oh, ich komme aus Australien. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Okay, warst du schon mal in Australien? No, but I want to go. But I know you have too many spiders and too many dangerous things. I do not want to go. So it's so funny you start with that question because honestly, that's what everyone wants to know.
Am I German?
And that's why the Cologne people don't go to Düsseldorf, because we think there are
scary people.
Scary and dangerous animals.
With 8 arms.
So you were born in Australia, and you said your girlfriend brought you to Germany?
Correct. So
because of love, yeah?
Because of love, of course, yeah. So we met, well, let me rewind a bit. I graduated university as an industrial designer. So that is a person who designs products. So all the objects we are talking into and the table we are sitting at has all been designed by an industrial designer. So we design things from the concept all the way through to the manufacturing. I basically worked really hard as a professional industrial designer for 6 or 7 years. I built up a very generous bank account. I then quit my job. I booked a one-way ticket to Hawaii, and the rest was history. So in the time that in my final months at my job is when I met my girlfriend Ines. And the best thing about that was I knew I was about to go abroad. And I sort of followed her over here to Germany. And we've been together for many, many years, which is great.
Right now you killed about 5 questions now.
No problem. I'll just have a sip of beer to fill the...
But he sometimes doesn't listen, so it quite happens often that he asks some questions we've already answered. So keep the questions for the second half. Or
okay, Australia is the dream of destination for many people to visit. So the nickname Down Under fits perfectly. What made you leave this? For many called the Dreamland.
Well,
one question you killed.
Yeah, one question I killed. I guess I had not left Australia until I was 26 years of age. And my first overseas journey was actually to New Zealand, which is basically
3 hours away.
Yeah, it's not far at all. It's a short flight across the Tasman Sea, and you land in a different country that speaks the same language. They have basically the same currency, same beer, same products. Everything's extremely similar. So I didn't really count that as my first overseas journey. But when I flew from Australia to Hawaii, that's when I really felt that I was traveling, you know. Perfect first destination to land because there was sun, there was beach, and there was English-speaking people. So it was sort of like my first home away from home. I did a lot of touring in America for about almost maybe 2 months. And then I flew from, New York to Hanover, landed in Germany. And that's when reality set in, that I was finally in that's when I really felt like I was in a foreign country. The lack of English was a huge culture shock for myself. And this was in 2016. And it was only very recently in 2020 that I professionally began my German speaking course.
Okay.
So I spent a few years, struggling along with the basics. Guten Tag, ich bin Steve, ich komme aus Australien. But it worked, and it's great that music is this sort of international language where, although I had a lack of German speaking skills, I was able to support myself here in Germany with my sort of DJ skills and things like that. So, music is this universal language where it doesn't matter if you can't speak German, like myself here in Germany. And I've actually played and DJ'd in probably 12 or 13 countries so far. And of course, I don't speak the local languages, but music is this universal language where you can play a song, everyone dances and has fun. And I've supported myself ever since with my passion for music. Yeah.
What we want from this podcast is that, or what we think you can do is to bring this podcast to your friends, family, to Australia to listen to it. Maybe they can take something out of this podcast, how it is for an Australian in another country.
Definitely. And I hope I inspire some of you people listening to potentially, take that step, leave your home country or leave your home city, go and explore other places, be inspired, go and see the world. And if you have nothing that makes you comfortable in these foreign cities or these foreign lands, you always have music as your comfort zone. Music is always there, and it's always it always sort of brings you back to reality. You can listen to songs from, when you grew up, or pop songs right now, and you can instantly connect with people around you with these modern pop songs. Or if you want to reminisce about times back home, you can play some music, from when you were growing up, and it brings back all those memories, and it makes you feel a bit better in these, difficult times living abroad.
Good speak.
Yes.
How many times have you been to Australia again since you are in Germany?
I have only, since 2015, I have been back to Australia 1, 2, 3 times in total.
Oh, okay.
I had planned a 4th. However, there was this thing called, I forget what it's called.
Corona?
Corona, that's it. Yeah.
Corona, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe your listeners have heard of Corona.
Corona.
Yeah, that kind of killed my travel plans. I was planning to go back in mid-2020.
Oh, okay.
But of course, that's when Corona sort of swept across Europe.
So do you miss your family?
Of course I miss my family. It's a common question I get asked by my friends. For
sure.
I mean, the beauty of living abroad in this day and age is we all have mobile phones, we all have internet connections, and I can very quickly and easily call my family back home via video, and it kind of feels like you're there. It's good to check in every week or two and see and hear the chaos that continues in my family.
Yeah. Have they visited you before?
My youngest sister has, Louise. She was here during the mayhem of Carnival, so she saw. And
oh my God!
Yeah, for the song "Polka Polka Polka," she thought that they were singing "Vodka Vodka Vodka."
She drank.
So she would always say to me, I loved Carnival, I loved the Vodka 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 song. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, Polka Polka Polka. And she's like, yeah, Vodka Vodka Vodka. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. That's what it is. Yeah. But I've been begging and scratching at my parents to come over. I think they would really love it here in Cologne, because Cologne is a very multicultural city, as we all know. Many English-speaking people here. And Cologne is an amazing city because you're so close to everything. You know,
like we have some questions about this further.
For sure.
One short question: Are the Germans so grumpy as they are mostly presented in other countries?
You killed my question.
I don't think so. I think
6 questions now.
Strike.
I think Germans are depicted as a very serious, a very rule-abiding society. You know, like with the Ordnungsamt and all that
And I
stuff.
think we are.
I think to an extent, yes, but you also have this, like in all cities and all countries, you have this underground rebellion that it's like, oh, it says don't park your car there. I'm going to park my car there, you know? Or it's like,
What a rebellion.
No noise after 12. It's like, I'm going to make noise after 12. So there's always some people that break the rules, but I would say I used to be a tour manager as well, like a tour guide around Europe. And I would definitely say that Germany has the most, I would say, law-abiding citizens. There's not too much chaos and problems on the streets, especially, you know, Fridays and Saturday nights. I think the German culture is built upon order and respect for other people. And I think that's been fairly maintained as well, even with the drunken youths on the streets on Fridays and Saturday nights, you know?
On the rings.
Yes. On the rings, yeah.
Yeah. Thorsten.
Sorry for killing your question.
Doesn't matter. I ask the question later again. I asked the question later again.
Okay.
For the listeners, Mathias is sitting here very pissed off because Thorsten's stealing all the questions. So
I am grumpy now.
But Steve, we are doing a second round in German then. Same questions?
Yeah,
perfect.
Same question, exactly. And you have to explain everything.
Perfect.
So, once again, Steve, feel welcome to a little feel-good podcast here in Cologne.
Thank you for having me.
As you said, Cologne is a multicultural city. What exactly made you decide to choose Cologne as your new home? Is it just your girlfriend, or was it
pretty much so?
Coincidence.
My girlfriend, her family is from a town called Celle, which is about
Hanover.
1 hour near Hanover. Yeah, and
Beautiful town.
it is
Very
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah, and Celle itself is very, very German. You know, there's no English-speaking people. No one assumes you're a tourist, and they treat you like a German-speaking natural. And then when you speak broken German to them, they're like, "Oh my God, I need to speak English." But here in Cologne, they instantly detect an accent when it's, "Kann ich bitte eine Speisekarte haben?" "Oh, where are you from?" And it's like, "No, speak German with me. I must practice my German."
Never go to Berlin.
Yeah, but so my girlfriend, she became a student here in Cologne. So that was the reason why we are now settled in Cologne. And she is doing her practicum in teaching for children with special needs. So that's where she is at. She's in her final year of university. And yeah, we love it here in Cologne. I have many musical opportunities here in Cologne as well.
Okay.
So
for information for Thorsten, we met in the Irish pub Copper Pot.
correct.
Where
I
I
saw
used to-
that
where I
because
used to
I was
play.
stalking you.
You know
Yeah.
it. You know it already.
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw the picture you've taken in the Irish pub, I think.
There you
A
go.
picture or video? I'm not... I'm not sure.
Which picture?
I'm not sure. There are a lot of
picture I don't
pictures
know
and a
about.
lot of photos there. I would used to be like the business development manager there. I was basically brought in to create like some events there for that venue.
okay.
So the owners wanted open mic night. They wanted darts competitions, karaoke, DJ nights, open mic night, live
Quiz.
music bookings, quiz. So I got that up and running. Really, really nice.
And you
it was
booked
great.
Mathias for the darts,
yeah.
and then he sings and
Yeah,
sings.
yeah.
And
So-
It doesn't stop. And
Unfortunately, I booked Mathias, who did an amazing job, and now he keeps texting me, and now I'm here. So, no, it was great meeting Mathias. He's the true professional, and he's a really good guitar player. So we're in the presence of a professional here.
yeah, thank you very much. And we try to work together in the
Of
future.
course, yeah, definitely.
Thorsten, do you have another question?
Yes, of
Oh,
course.
baby.
Is this question stolen again, or
I'm not sure.
let's
We
find
will
out.
see.
Let's go. Before I answer, I'll shift my eyes towards Mathias and see if his
Wait.
rage increases more.
Okay, what was the first word you learned in Germany?
Good question.
Schmetterling,
Schmetterling?
Oh,
Butterfly.
butterfly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why?
strange this one.
Unconventional.
It's there's a comedian called Carl Barron who's a very famous Australian comedian, and he imitates a few different languages. And the German word that he says is Schmetterling.
oh,
So that was the first German word I knew.
okay.
Schmetterling.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, there you go. So,
Normally you think, danke, ja, scheiße. Scheiße is sometimes the first word, you know.
Or bumsen.
You hear. Bumsen auch, ja. Oder
I don't know.
Wemsen geht auch, ne?
Wemsen. Do you know Wemsen?
I do not.
It's another pronunciation. of
Okay.
For
Bumsen.
making love.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll write that down.
But you can't use it too often, I think.
No, you
It's-
can
it's
also
not-
use Vögeln.
Yeah.
Vögeln you can use also. Vögeln, yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Good question. Not stolen? Good. Good.
Not stolen.
Try my best.
I have. I was sitting at home and I was thinking about what can I ask Steve. Nothing happens, and then it came down, question after question,
Good.
and what initial difficulties did you face, and what was the start more difficult than expected?
I would say yes. So my comfort zone was always music. So I was always lucky enough that I had some DJ work that I could earn money from. So obviously you need money to survive. So I had to use my skills as a DJ to go out to clubs, bars, kneipers, these beer halls, and sort of offer my services. And of course, when you offer your service in English, people sort of think, why would I employ like an English-speaking DJ when I have 4,000 German-speaking DJs? But what I thought was actually a negative turned into a positive, because you instantly, to the manager of that venue, you're instantly different, and you're instantly interesting. So I often got given a chance to perform in these venues, and the rest is kind of history. It's pretty cool, really, when you think about it. And I feel very honoured. I feel like the city of Cologne has really accepted me for who I am and my terrible German-speaking skills. And now
It's growing.
I'm quite self-sufficient here in Germany in terms of income and things like that. I also forgot the question, so I think I trailed off in the wrong direction there. Or
No, the question was okay. I asked what initial difficulties did you face?
yeah. Naturally, like anyone moving to a foreign country, the language was the most difficult. And also, it's extremely difficult with German paperwork.
We come to this
Always.
bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy, my gosh. I think it was yesterday. I think it's still on my Instagram story, actually. I have to currently prove to the German government that I was born and lived in Australia before I came to Germany. So it's kind of a weird process. How do you prove that you lived somewhere? So I have my birth certificate, my passport, all my tax returns from Australia. I have other documents there. And honestly, the stack of paper is maybe half an inch thick that they require just to prove that I did once live in Australia. So crazy. German bureaucracy.
Yeah.
How's the beer? Beer's quite good. Belgian beer
Absolutely.
is famous for beer and Fritz.
But
you
it's
know,
quite
Thomas.
empty.
Absolutely.
It is.
I think
It's quite empty. Do you think that we might make a break? Or just a
26 minutes, best time for a break, yeah?
Do we? Okay, let's
Huh?
make a break.
Okay.
Have
Let's
a
do
break,
it.
have a new beer.
Sounds good to me.
Stay tuned. We're back in 2 seconds.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Back again. In the ring, motherfucker.
Steve Marks still having
Hello.
here. Yeah. Nice to have you here again.
Yes.
Thank you so much for featuring me. And yeah, I love the setup here. It's very neat, very clean. And thank you for your hospitality. The beers are working very, very well, I must say.
Perhaps we have a new beer sponsor partner.
Ooh.
I'm not sure, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Cool.
Maybe next time.
So the next beer we're drinking is from Iceland. It's called Ein Stück Ölgert Arctic Pale Ale. What do we have? We have 5.6 volume.
Triple hopped for flavor and balance.
Do you normally drink craft beer or only German beer or only wine? Or
Here in Germany, I drink German beer because
Okay.
for me it's still a novelty. But in
Cheers.
Australia, cheers, Prost. In Australia, craft beer, I mean, it rose to fame 10 years ago in Australia.
okay.
Craft beer is very sort of normalized there now. But I definitely won't say no to an Icelandic Arctic Pale Ale. So
So then then I have a very simple question to you. Foster's or Kölsch, and why Kölsch?
well, you're 100% correct. Kölsch, because ironically, Foster's... Oh, we can hear you slurping there.
That's good.
Foster's, ironically, is like not very prevalent in Australia. Like it's not very common. It was huge in, I guess, the 70s and 80s, and it was splashed across international screens in movies and TV commercials and things like that. But it's so funny you mention this because about 20 minutes ago I was talking about when I flew into Hawaii. It was my first real international thing. When I landed in Hawaii, I went to the nearest alcohol shop and I looked for beer, and I saw Foster's, and I was like, oh my God, Foster's, I've never tried that. So I flew to Hawaii to buy Foster's International
time.
beer for the first time. It's crazy.
Yeah, but Foster's is the a beer for the masses. It's a typical beer that everyone needs to like.
Needs to try. I mean, Foster's is served
lager beer.
in probably 1% of the venues in Australia.
Yeah.
It's not a beer anymore. The majority of beer taps are sort of taken over by your pale ales and things like that. And I would say, Germany has a love for beer. And I think Australia discovered that as well, maybe 15 or 20 years ago. And they're really supporting their sort of local craft beer producers. Mm-hmm. So a lot of bars and clubs you go to sort of have your stock standard Australia-wide beers, let's say.
Microbreweries, huh?
Yeah, but then they always have, half of the taps that are sort of hosted by these microbreweries, and it really supports the local community, and people turn up to if you're from out of town, of course you can take the selection of the very normal famous beers, or you can try these really locally crafted beers, and it just makes every venue unique in its own way. I think that's pretty
good,
cool.
yeah. I think the same thing is happening right now with Beck's. It's a German brand. And everyone knows it in America, I think in Australia too.
Definitely in Australia, yes.
Everyone says, oh, that's German beer. And in Germany, we don't often drink Becks, I think.
Yeah. There you go.
It's it's a beer for the masses.
Yeah.
But for the great masses, the international masses, you can have it all over the world, I think.
Cool.
Denn Becks löscht Kennerdurst.
Well, I guess if there's any microbreweries listening to us right now in Cologne, feel free to send some product in to the guys, and they'd be happy to advertise it and taste test it for you. Gotta throw in some marketing, you know? Why not?
I've met someone who's doing beer tastings here in Cologne.
Ooh, very nice.
And perhaps he is our next partner for them.
Oh.
Nice.
Perhaps our next guest.
We also had a small beer brewer as a podcast guest.
Very nice.
That was very interesting and very a liquid in an afternoon.
Yeah.
I would call it a liquid afternoon.
I can imagine the real wording, what that's meant to be. I do know an establishment here in Cologne. Maybe we're going to speak off air about it. Maybe I can connect you guys up. Don't want to.
Yay. Okay. Best things are
bit of a mystery.
happening.
Bit of a mystery, but I don't want to advertise online for these people because maybe they can hook us up and we have
We have one time off air now. The break.
Yes.
So, where are your expectations of living in another country fulfilled? And how satisfied are you in your new home country?
My expectations living abroad have been fulfilled. I've loved the challenge of, resettling in a new place, starting up basically your life from zero. You turn up with just a stamp in your passport, basically. You then have to, in Germany, you have to go to all these different bureaus to register yourself for this, get a tax number for that, start up a business number for this, apply more paperwork for that. And I feel quite accomplished here now. I feel very comfortable living in Cologne. And my one big regret is not doing a German speaking course sooner, because I've sort of recently finished my A21 German speaking course. So I now need to finish my A22 and then I can start B1, which is maybe
whatever that means.
Yeah, that maybe makes no sense to you, you native speakers. But basically, learning a language now is sort of standardized into these different categories: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. So C2 is generally regarded as fluency.
Okay.
And A1 is obviously learning the basics. Guten Tag, ich bin Steve, ich komme aus Australien, that sort of things. But now I have enough knowledge to, for example, in the German language, understand like a verb and its form in like first person singular, second person singular, first person plural, and all this sort of stuff. So the structure of the German language is incredibly complex in comparison to the English language. Yeah. And that's what's blown my mind. But I found it very frustrating initially to learn the German language, or to begin learning the German language, because my brain is very practical. Things need to make sense for me to accept it. So I had to literally throw my whole thought process out the window and just learn these things and just go, it makes no sense to me, but okay, and just attempt to accept it. And then these German grammatical rules would click in your brain at the weirdest moments. So you'd be in the supermarket buying your beer and you'd be like, so that's how adjectives work in a German sentence, And then you might be walking down the stairs to go to work and you're like, okay, like reflexive pronouns or whatever. Like, it's really complicated, but in the weirdest moments, things just sort of fall into place like Lego bricks, and then you go, okay, that's how it works.
I can't say what is an accusative object or prefix or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm a grammatic idiot. But
there's several cases in German.
Because it's in us, so we do it instantly right.
Yeah, it's natural for yourself.
Natural, exactly.
It's very weird, especially as a I mean, I'm not mature age. My brain is 34 years of age, but it's very strange at my age to try and cram into your brain a whole new vault of information. Like your brain sort of, or my brain has gotten to a point where it's sort of like, okay, no more new information. And if I do force new information in there, some old information just sort of falls out and disappears. So I don't want to squeeze too much in there in case I lose some other stuff out the other side. But
To all the listeners' information, the thing you hear in the back is the rain crashing.
on our glass.
Correct.
Exactly, on the glass roof, yes. It's extremely raining now. Thorsten.
So perhaps we can switch a little bit to your profession, a little bit to what you are doing to earn money here in Germany. And I saw, because I have stalked you a little bit, I saw you grew up and started as a punk rock drummer.
Correct.
So what the fuck happened?
So
What the fuck? What the fuck?
So I'll start from the start. My grandfather was a very famous drummer when he was younger.
Okay.
And he actually gifted a drum kit to myself and my brother when we were quite young. I might have been maybe 7 years of age. My brother would have been maybe 9 years of age, or maybe a little bit older. Doesn't matter. We were quite young. And basically, my brother got drum lessons at school. He would come home. I would watch him. And then when he was finished, I would just do the same. And I picked it up very quickly, very naturally. I would then basically put my favorite music in my headphones and I would just drum along. And eventually I got good enough that some family friends knew a band looking for a drummer. And then I went along to some studio sessions and they really loved my style and my flair. So I started to be in a few punk rock bands in Sydney. And some sort of pub rock bands as well in Sydney. So that's sort of your Eagles, your Bee Gees, your Bon Jovis, all the sort of pop classics. I would be the drummer at the back.
Okay.
And I loved it. It taught me about sort of on-stage presence. And it also taught me about the realities of the music industry and the good and bad things around that. So obviously you have your alcohol and your party attitude, but you also had the downside of playing in a large band of 5 or 6 people is when you get paid at the end of the night. The payment, of course, you might get paid, well, let's talk Australian dollars here for when I was in Australia. You might get paid like $1,000 for the night. You're like, wow, $1,000 sounds great.
Much.
But $500 of that goes immediately to the sound engineer. So for the people who don't know, that's a guy that sits like behind the crowd and he adjusts all the volumes of every single microphone, vocalist, guitar, bass guitar, and the drummer as well, but not just the drummer. It's like the kick drum, the snare drum, the hi-hat, all these different microphones.
Stems, yeah.
And you pay him a set fee and then you have $500 remaining. And when that $500 gets split between 6 or 7 people, you end up with not too much money at the end of the day. So again, my brother, he had a friend who was a DJ and he was a little inspired by him. He then came to me and said, yo, we should buy this equipment. I was like, okay. And I had the money at the time, so I bought some DJ equipment. And on our first afternoon, we broke it. So we took it back, got our money back, and we bought some really good stuff. And then from there, I realized that a live band performing for people, whether it's at a wedding or a function, a stadium or a small bar, a live band can only play the songs that they know and they've rehearsed. Okay? And you would know this. When you get a strange request, you can't play it because how can you play it? However, the cool thing about a DJ is a DJ has this huge library of music on them when they go places. So they might be prepared to play a chill disco night for some people. But if someone comes up and requests some rock classics like Bon Jovi or AC/DC, a DJ can play that, but a band, like a jazz band booked for a night, might not be able to play AC/DC. So the DJ suddenly has this instant appeal for myself because it's such a flexible job and you become such a flexible performer on the stage that you can cater to any crowd and to any request that they send towards you. And the best thing about that is at the end of the night, the DJ takes home 100% of the money. So
and the best girls.
Oh, yeah. But there's this misconception about that. Oh, it's funny. It's funny. Let's go into this. Let's go into this parallel. So it's so funny. There's movies and there's all these like films online where the DJ goes home with all these girls, and it's so funny because it's this big misconception. Because when the DJ is playing, of course the girls come up and they wish a song and they go, "Oh, are you single? Are you dating? What are you doing?" And it's funny because when the party ends, the security guards are like, "Okay, everyone out, go, like get away," because they want to go. But the DJs, like, I'd love to go with them and chase the girls, of course, but the DJ has to then pack up all their cables, all their speakers, all their lights. They then need to go collect their car, drive their car up to the door, load all their equipment into the car, close the door, lock the car, and by the time you turn around and go, "Oh, where were those girls?" It's like they're already home in bed, you know? So
same problem with podcasting.
Yeah.
I'm always doing the cable stuff, and he takes the girls.
That noise that noise that the listeners heard before, it wasn't the rain, it's all the girls scratching at the door to get in. Yeah.
So you think so live music, it seems to be very, very popular in not only even in Melbourne, in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia
it's
overall.
A common thing in the pubs, in the clubs.
Correct.
Live music, totally different to Germany.
Yeah, correct. There's only a very select few venues in Cologne that play live music. These days with Spotify, it's a very cheap way to fill a venue with music. People pay their 20 euros per month or whatever, and then they can play whatever playlist they want. The skill and the thought is taken out of it. But when you book a live van, you have that authentic sound. You have something that people drink their beers and they look at, and they're entertained, and they're inclined to stay there a little bit longer rather than having an iPad play a playlist. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing sort of keeping people there. So I think live music is a really cool and a really important asset to maintain for some venues, and it makes them unique and special. So
we discussed this theme here, I think several times we had this thing.
Yeah.
And we come to the conclusion that the difference between Australia, USA, UK, Ireland, whatever, these mostly the English-spoken countries are with live music. And the difference to Germany is the pub, for example, in Australia says, "Oh, it's full. I need live music. I need live music. Where's the next live musician?" And in Germany, it's completely different. It's full. Why do I need live music?
Yeah. I think the same.
It's full.
And
I
also
earn my money. Why do I have to spend money for live music when it's full?
Yeah, because they're already... Yeah.
It's
a strange mindset to have.
Strange.
So I guess business owners in Germany think full equals good. But there's being full and being just a normal club or pub. But there's also being full with a live musician, and then people remember that experience a lot more than just being in a full pub.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. But they don't think like this way here. It's a mentality thing, I think.
Correct. And I think...
And a culture, I think, sorry.
Yes, and I think a lot of venues that take that first step and book a live musician or a live DJ to perform and play in their venues, the first 2, 3, 4 events might show no real increase in revenue, no increase in new people coming in. But like all good things, it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. And those venues that continue and push into the second month and the third month, slowly people start coming back and go, "Oh, so we were here 2 weeks ago for live music. Is the live music happening again tonight?" "Yes, there is." "Oh, great. great, excellent, because we've reserved a table for 8 people and our friends are coming tonight and they'll be really excited. So it just takes a little bit of time, patience and planning. And then these venues suddenly become a little bit special and a little bit different to all the other bars and clubs around them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're taking this live moment one step further. We've already talked about it in the break, in the short break we had. You're using a drum machine on stage.
Correct.
How does this work? And is it because of the past as a drummer, or?
Spot on. So,
Spot on.
as a drummer, I don't know, well, like any musician, they're extremely attached to their instrument. So a guitarist loves their guitar. A bass guitarist loves their bass guitar. A vocalist, I guess, loves their microphone. Everyone has their special thing. Myself as a drummer, Mathias, leave the microphone alone. Myself as a drummer, I love my drums, but obviously as a touring musician and an Australian living abroad, imagine packing a drum kit into a suitcase. It doesn't exactly work. So what I've done and why I'm special and why I've been rather successful here in Germany and in other countries around Europe is I travel with my DJ equipment, and I have on my left-hand side a small electronic drum kit. And what I can do with that small electronic drum kit is I can play live drums, just like my punk rock days. But this electronic drum machine also has the ability to play different sounds that I program into it. So I can trigger live vocals, live sounds, live whatever I want to either add to my show or to play something 100% live for people. And the best thing about that for myself, not only is it more fun for me and more exciting for me, but it gives the people in that venue or that club something to look at that's more than just a DJ standing there with their hands up being like, yeah, let's party. When I'm actually swinging my drumsticks and hitting a surface and it produces a sound, people are kind of like, oh wow, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And then suddenly you get a lot of phones like pointed at you and people are recording, and then you obviously get some haters that are like, oh, that's all fake. And then it's like, well, mate, take this drumstick, hit this little square here, and you'll tell me if it's fake. And of course they hit the square and it makes the sound and they go, oh my gosh, okay, it's real, you know? And the best thing about this is it makes me not only just a DJ, but I am now the DJ with that drum machine. So I'm instantly unique.
It's your USP.
It's my special thing that club venues and bar venues remember me by. And often I DJ in a lot of the same clubs here in Cologne, and people often turn up and they're like, oh, I remember you, the drumming guy. I'm like, yeah,
The drumming guy.
welcome back. You know, like, let's have a great party. So
Cool.
It's sort of tying in my past from my grandfather all the way up until today. So I've taken my drum kit from my grandfather, my punk rocking days as a live drummer, and I've now incorporated that into my current lifestyle as a DJ, which I think is a really perfect way, and it's sort of completed myself as a as a musician, I guess you would say. Yeah.
I've heard something you said before. It's not something to do with the music. You said, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain?
It's like saying, oh my God.
Why oh my gosh?
Like, oh mein Gott.
But
Like,
why did you say oh my gosh? I've heard...
it's just
I
an
asked-
English expression. It's funny. Like, some people... I guess it comes to like religion. Some people, when they like say, oh my God, that's like taking the Lord's name in vain. Some people just say, oh my gosh. I just say, oh my gosh.
Okay.
It's for no reason. It's just what I say.
In Germany, gosh is a grey man selling very,
fish.
very expensive fish
Oh, wow.
on German islands.
Gosh.
Oh, my expensive fish man. Okay.
Yeah, I asked that because I heard that loads of times, especially by American people,
Yeah.
I use this, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I always thought, hey,
What is that?
just say, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Everybody says here, oh mein Gott.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scheiß drauf.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, sorry.
some people are different.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know. It's just a thing. In English, it's a figure of speech. That's what we would say. It's just a figure of
But
speech.
Steve, if anyone isn't able to see you live, where can they see this drum set thing going on?
You
Social
can,
media? Or?
yeah, social media. So every single social media you can think of, if you type in Steve Marks Music, you will see my ugly face. Steve Marks, Marks. And yeah, I should pop up. You can scroll through some videos and things like that, and you'll find my little electronic drum kit and myself performing.
We will link you.
Yeah, we will do it in the show notes.
Excellent.
Hyperlinks and everything.
Thank you so much. Also, to everyone listening, shout out to the Melon Gang. You know who you are. I have this little online community. It's a Discord server that I've created, and that's basically like an online forum. And everyone that joins, they become a member of what's called the Melon Gang. I don't know why. I just love watermelon, and I thought instead of calling these people watermelon sugar high, so instead of calling people my followers, I just call them the Melon Gang. So they're my little melons.
What do you do every week online?
So I used to do.
Are you used?
Yeah, I used to every Wednesday night host some demo drops. So music producers from all around the world would send me their musical ideas. I would listen to them, and I would give them my feedback, and it was always positive vibes only. So I had very advanced people sending me their music, and I would give them very advanced feedback. And there were also a lot of beginner music producers who would send me their music, which would be like, I'll be honest, it would be terrible, but I would never tell them it was terrible. I would always give them positive feedback and give them some encouraging words for them to sort of encourage them on their musical journey. So I created, I guess, a small brand for myself where I was Steve Marks Music, and people would send me their songs. I would give them feedback. And then all these people used to be a little bit annoyed because they're like, look, you're online every Wednesday, but when you're offline, I want to talk to the other people that are online. So I created this Discord server. It's basically like a forum, and everyone gets invited to my forum, and then they all chat throughout the week about like, oh, here's my new idea, have a listen. And sadly, I had to give away or give up my demo reviews because life sort of got in the way. I have a full-time job now. I also work for 2 record labels as well out of Sweden.
Okay.
So I'm a very busy guy. So sadly, I cannot be reviewing my followers' demos anymore. But what it did do for me, it educated me a lot better in terms of music production, music quality, and also it trained my ears to hear specific things that are incorrect in terms of today's music production standards, which has actually helped me personally as a producer to produce much better songs and sounds. So if anyone goes and listens to my Spotify or my SoundCloud, you can hear definitely from or from any songs that I produced that are more than 2 years old, you can hear that they lack a certain thing, a certain something. But once I trained my ears, any song that I've produced in the last 2 years is a lot clearer, a lot snappier, and it just sounds a bit more commercially correct. And that was from all my hard work with these free demo drops. And yeah, I loved it. I used to love that. I had this little, when I would be live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter, I had the chat group going and everyone was chatting and saying, yeah, this song's really good, you should do this. So everyone was sharing their ideas, and it was really encouraging, and I felt really sort of proud that I was harboring and hosting these small small-time beginner producers and sort of mixing them together with these professional producers, and I built this community, and they're all still talking to each other, all helping each other, and I feel quite proud that I've built that, and it's still going today.
That sounds awesome.
So if I send you my stems,
Mm-hmm.
you can produce a kind of house sound
Correct.
onto my song.
Correct.
You remix it.
I can do anything and everything. I've done everything from radio jingles to podcast intros to professionally produced songs that are released on Spotify. I've also done musical film clips as well for YouTube productions. And yeah, I guess I can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you did my video.
I did.
You cut it and edited my video.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
So I think it's time for the last break.
Yeah. Do we have the opportunity to hear something from your last remixes and projects, or is there a problem with license and so on?
So, this is a good question. So I am working on some really cool remixes. There is, I need to think of how to explain this. So for anybody that listens to, I would say, a pop radio station, there's a current sort of mood or genre of music that's called slap house, which is sort of like, it's fun, it's upbeat, it's energetic. And what I personally do, I take songs from the past, so from the 80s or the 90s, and I will remix it into this mood and this genre called slap house, which is very upbeat and energetic, like I said. So I will take a slow, boring Ed Sheeran song or a Britney Spears song or an Aerosmith song, and I will remix it to this mood, which is slap house, which is fun, upbeat, and it's what the people dance to in the nightclubs at the moment, and it's also the style of music that you hear on the radio at the moment. If you're driving home in your car and you hear a really upbeat song, it's in this day and age, traditionally it's like a slap house style song. So I do have some things on my smartphone which I can't release at the moment due to like legal issues. So what I have at the moment, I'm remixing a Britney Spears song called Toxic. Don't you know that you're toxic? This one, yes, we know it. And Aerosmith. I don't want to miss. Close. Yes, this one. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, babe. And I don't want to miss a thing. Okay, so I would love to release these how they are, but what I have at the moment is I have the original vocals sitting in my production. So I have production. So I'm a music producer. For those who don't know, I use a laptop to create sounds. So in my laptop, I will put in like a bass line, I will put in keyboards, I will put in drums, I will put in guitar sounds, all digitally. And then that is what's called music production. I produce a song and then I'm remixing, for example, Aerosmith. Don't Want to Miss a Thing. At the moment, I don't have a vocalist to record the vocals. So for the moment, I'm using the original a cappella from Aerosmith. I'm legally not allowed to broadcast that or release that because those vocals are owned and licensed to the artist themselves and to the record label that released the track. So if I somehow release my remixes with the original vocal onto Spotify or a streaming platform, I will most likely get a nice letter from some legal firm stating that you have stolen the intellectual property of someone else and you need to pay a large amount of money. Yes. So what I do, I will produce a remix with the original vocal. Then I will send that idea to a vocalist and say, hello, how are you? I'm great. Check out this remix. Let me know if you want to sing on it. If you do, let's dance, sort of thing. And I'm at the stage where my music production quality is quite good, let's say. So when I send them my demo, they reply and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yes, I'd love to work on this with you. And then I send them the material they need. They then use the material I send them, and they sort of put it in their ears, and then they'll sing into a microphone. Then they hit record, and then they send me that vocal file. I can then integrate that new vocal. So I basically can delete the original Aerosmith vocal out of my production. I can then input the new vocal that the vocalist has recorded for me, and then that track is legally okay to be released onto streaming platforms.
Because you remixed it.
Correct. So I produced a track from the ground up. So all the instrumentation is brand new. I haven't included any of the original soundtrack at all. So that includes the bass line, the drum line, and any sort of guitars and keyboards in that. Because I, as a music producer, I have recreated that in my computer. So that's the legal loophole there. And then in terms of the vocal, it's okay to sing the same words and sing those same words in the same melody as the original.
Okay.
But it cannot be the actual original vocal track. So that's why I speak to a guest vocalist to feature on the track, and that completes the legal loophole for releasing remixes.
But you just released Tell Me Lies, and originally played from, I think, Fleetwood Mac,
Fleetwood Mac, correct.
Yeah.
So,
and that's on Spotify.
Correct.
So that's legal.
That's legal,
so
correct.
Do we have a chance to hear 20 seconds of this song without getting into jail or paying amount of money on our podcast?
We do, yeah.
So we do this in the...
After the break?
Yeah, I think
Sounds
so.
good.
Can you organize it, huh?
I do my best.
You think? Yeah. Okay.
I also have a smartphone and Spotify.
Beautiful.
I'll be back in a few minutes, okay?
Okay. See you soon.
Bye.
Da sind wir wieder. There we are again.
Hello.
Steve Marks, resident DJ of Gilden Sims.
Yeah.
In Cologne.
Do you remember that I was also a resident DJ of Gilden Sims?
Yes.
3 years. Yeah.
3 years in the
Before-
70s.
Yeah, in the 60s.
So we have another beer, a Vulcan Bio Pale Ale.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, it's just... How many does it have? 5.6. That's okay, absolutely.
Very good.
Prost.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mathias, cheers.
Cheers.
Boom.
Wow, Mathias can catch the... How do you call them? The caps?
The bottle cap.
The bottle cap
bottle
with
cap.
his belly button.
Yeah, my belly button.
Whoa.
Let's not talk about dirty belly buttons.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's a little bit lighter, I think. It's not so
But it's good.
strong.
I like
but
it.
it's- Yeah.
It tastes lighter, but it's just as strong as the last
It's
one.
fruity.
Yeah, fruity. Very fruity.
That's what I like. So, Thorsten, you prepared something for us.
I've prepared something, yeah.
Some music.
So we have a little bit a
Music
small part of
non-stop.
Tell Me Lies.
Okay.
That's your latest remix?
Yeah, it's
The latest official remix?
It's one of my latest releases, and at the moment it's my most popular remix. So I'm sure your listeners have heard of Instagram. So this track at the moment is currently getting a lot of people using it for their reels.
Oh, okay.
It actually came to fame with the Johnny Depp trial, where Amber Heard was telling a lot of lies.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people started using my remix of Tell Me Lies to sort of to use over some footage from the trial. And naturally from that, the algorithm has pushed it further and further to more people's phones. And Spotify now, this track, I think yesterday just hit 180,000 plays on Spotify.
Wow.
So very cool. Feeling
Okay.
And thank you. Oh, it's from all the girls outside
From the girls
waiting
on
to
the-
get in.
Only girls.
And as I said earlier to you guys in the break, I've actually hit a new milestone today on Spotify. It's the first time ever I've had over 27,000 monthly listeners. So congratulations to me.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you.
Sure.
So, Tell Me Lies.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
The original.
Why Tell Me Lies? Because of the poo on the pillow of Mr. Johnny Depp, or was it before?
No, it's honestly...
The song.
It's been one of these songs, like my family, my parents especially, we grew up as like a sporting family. Like instead of sitting around watching TV, we would either kick a ball outside, like a football or a soccer ball, or we would be inside listening to music. Like the TV when we were younger was not on very often. So Fleetwood Mac was an artist that my parents loved. And this song has just always been a song for me that reminds me of my childhood growing up.
Okay.
So I thought, I'll work on it for a little bit. I'll see what happens. And ironically, this track, it actually took me a long time to get it signed to a record label. It's the longest track ever to get signed to a record label. So it took me 7 months to find a label that was willing to sign the track. And congratulations to them, because it's my most streamed track. It's their most streamed track.
Great.
And yeah, it's something I'm proud of and hope to sort of replicate and continue in the future with different songs. So I hope your listeners enjoy it.
Keep my fingers crossed. I've already listened to it, I think 6 or 8 times this day. And in the office, all the guys loved it. So yeah,
cool.
I hope
Love
20
it too.
seconds is short enough so that we don't get in jail or have to pay too much money. So I started. Tell Me Lies.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies, tell me lies. Oh no, no, you can't disguise. You can't disguise, you can't disguise. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies, tell me
Yay! That sounds really, really awesome.
Steve Marks.
Yes. I love
Nearly live.
I love bringing old classic music into like today's sound. So like I have a cool Spotify playlist called Modern Classics. So it's like all these classic songs such as Little Lies by Fleetwood Mac, but they're remixed into like today's sound and today's dance feeling. And it's just a really cool connection between... So when I'm DJing in a club, there's always this divide between like 30, 40-year-old people that are there drinking and being like, oh, what is this DJ doing here? And then there's young children, 18 to 25 that like, oh, we want to party. And it's this specific style of music that brings them both together. Because the young people are dancing to the hip, upbeat vibe, and the older people remember the vocal from many years past, and suddenly they're all dancing together, and it's such a unique feeling to be like, you kind of trick each group into dancing together, and suddenly they're on the dance floor together. It's a really cool feeling.
Isn't it a sign that the music industry is a little bit stacking?
Well,
To use all these old
classic
things?
songs will always be classic songs. It's a thing. It's
Exactly.
like memories never fade. It's this song is it's memories from my childhood, from growing up. That's why I chose this song to remix and release. And I guess everyone whether they're driving a car or listening to an old record, music is a thing that brings back emotions from the past. So you always, not always, but some people remember the first time they heard a song, or they hear a song on the radio and they go, oh, this song reminds me of the first dance between this couple at their wedding,
Yeah.
Music always stirs these emotions, and it's such a cool skill to be able to have to craft something and entertain people with music. Some music is timeless, some music is horrible, but at the end of the day, music is objective. So the snippet of my song you just played, maybe 80% of your podcast listeners hate it. Go, oh, what is this rubbish? The original was better. But there's 20% of the people that go, wow, like I forgot about that song, and now you've brought it back to like today's sound. That's really cool. So no one's ever going to be happy with music, but the great thing about music is it's never going to go away. It's always going to be music regardless. Even if the whole digital world gets wiped away, there's always going to be someone in a cave somewhere banging on something and singing. Music will never go away. That's the beauty of music. I really love it.
Good to hear that from you. And did your moving to Germany influenced you in music?
It did, yes.
Because Germany and Europe, especially Europe, is very electronic music based. Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, for sure.
Correct. Netherlands is basically the epicenter of electronic dance music. Anyone that is a famous DJ is basically from the Netherlands. There's a few exceptions, like Calvin Harris is from Scotland, David Guetta is from France, but a lot of the other people that are big names in the sort of EDM scene are from the Netherlands. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, right. And you were also working on a record label. You've told us. So you decide who gets in contract, who not? Or?
Correct. So I work for a network of record labels called UFO Network. And they have several different record labels. There's UFO Records, Sound Drive Records, Lifted Global, and one other that I don't remember the name of. I'm sorry.
Sorry, record label.
Yeah, but I don't work for them, which is fun. And basically, my job is to listen to all the music that comes into us via the producers out there, and I sit there, I listen on some very expensive professional headphones, and I determine whether or not this person is an amateur producer or an advanced producer. I also then need to think, is this song marketable? Is this song profitable from a record label perspective and also from an artist perspective? And also whether or not this person has a strong following, a strong backing, is willing to sort of financially back themselves and push themselves through the music industry. Because at the end of the day, you can sign any good track to a record label, but it also comes down to the artist. If the artist wants to propel themselves into the music industry, you're more likely to sign that person because they will give back. However, if a great track comes through, but the artist is sort of like, oh, I don't want to play live shows, I don't really, social media is not my thing. It's sort of sad to say, but they're being left by the wayside, because the modern music industry is all about online presence and how much money a song can produce, or how much money a club booker can earn from booking a DJ with a record label and a famous song and this and that. And the great thing about my job is I hear music from people that have 100,000 followers on Instagram, and I also hear music from people that have 50 followers on Instagram. And it's amazing to hear that there's some really young producers producing music at a quality that is better than these very famous, very well-known, globally heard artists. And that's what keeps me excited about music. That's what allows me to offer record contracts to young and upcoming producers. Cool. And I think the job that I have is sort of my reward from doing all these free demo streams that I did during Corona from 2020 till it was like late 2021. So almost 2 years of giving free advice to my community suddenly landed me a job at a record label. And I actually started at the one of the lowest record labels in that network. I started as their social media guy, so I was creating social media posts. Then they heard that I also did these demo drops, and I was listening to music, and they go, "Oh, maybe you're better in this position." Slowly, I moved up, and now I'm sort of near the top of that record label network, and I'm really enjoying the position that I have there. So cool.
As long I would talk to you and with you all about music, but I have some other questions I need to ask.
Let's go.
Because,
Let's go. Come on. Let's do it.
I think the life in Australia differs from Germany in many ways. Although it's down under has been heavily influenced by European culture, that's clear. The official language is English. Australia's major cities are clean and modern. The cuisine is quite British.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Would agree, yes.
And the whole nation is passionate about sport.
Yes, 100%
So one thing
correct.
is clear, the Aussies have mastered the philosophy of easy living like no other nation. Accordingly, my question is very simple. What do you think are the most important differences between the countries down under and Germany? And where do the mentalities differ the most?
Okay, so biggest differences and mentalities. Biggest difference, honestly, okay, the first thing that blew my mind about Germany and Europe in general was that there are post offices or toilet blocks that are older than sort of settled Australia. So
Then whole Australia.
you know, there's toilet blocks or post offices here from like the year like 1800, 1900. It's like blows my mind as an Australian. We don't have things like medieval walls or fortifications, and it's crazy that like the Roman Empire was here in Cologne, you know.
Especially here, yes.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and it's amazing to walk around a city like Cologne, like for Rudolfplatz, for example, we're quite close. There's like, for anyone tuning in from Australia or around the world, they have in the middle of the city and in many locations around the city of Cologne, these old medieval gates, you know, like in
Bill Gates and so on.
Bill Gates.
but in all those old sort of movies where you would see this big drawbridge come up and down, and archers firing arrows at invading armies. All those sorts of things are literally in this city. And it's funny you guys laugh, but for an Australian, that's so crazy. That's only things you see in the movies or in pictures. So I really love that.
And most Australians don't know that we still fire arrows from there. Yeah, they didn't know that, right?
Yeah. Don't
But only Sundays.
Don't walk after 3 p.m. on Sundays. Watch out for the arrows.
Thorsten is talking rubbish, sorry.
But okay, so first point is medieval stuff. That's really cool. So Australia is super modern, super sleek. Everything's super sharp, super straight, everything is glass in the city, you know. But here in Cologne, everything's built from stone and this and that. So it has its historic roots. Australia is very modern, very digital. And what I noticed, one of the first things and my first complaints in Germany was the footpath and the Fußweg. The footpaths in Germany are very disjointed. All the tiles are a bit bumpy and a bit like, they don't all sit together perfectly straight.
Like in Australia, it's perfectly straight.
Correct. In Australia, it is perfectly straight. Like you could roll a marble from one end of the street down to the other. And the problem all comes down to like, I guess, like lawsuits. So like in Australia, if you're walking on the footpath and you trip over a tile that's not correctly flat, then it becomes a problem for the city because the person injures themselves and then they can sue and they get money and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, what would you say here? What would they say here?
What they would say here is watch where you're going. That's what they would say. Germans have more common sense. And of course, when you're walking in Australia, you can safely be on your smartphone and you can walk and you know that the footpath is smooth. But if you're in Cologne and you're on your mobile phone, you will fall many times. So honestly speaking, footpaths for me were very funny. And also the medieval things that are in the city, like old city walls, old city gates. For me, is
Mathias.
something so cool. Yeah, Mathias, quite old. How old are you?
The old.
80, 86, 87? How old are you now? 85 years old?
86 was the year of birth.
Born 1819.
1890.
Oh, that's very rude. He just showed his middle finger to me for everyone listening. And what was the second part of the question? So there was the...
Where do the mentalities differ the most?
Mentalities differ.
Oops.
I think Australians, like you said, are very laid back and very... if something's late, it's like, doesn't matter. It'll be fine. It'll get done. And I think a German mentality is if someone was meant to deliver something at 4 p.m. and it's not there at 4 p.m., they're calling the company. You know? There's many jokes on the internet about Germans playing live music in their Wohnung or like in their room, and the second it turns 10 p.m., the neighbor or the Nachbarn, Hallo Ordnungsamt.
Yeah, Ordnungsamt.
So they're
What is Ordnungsamt in English in Australia?
we don't really have an authority for keeping order.
No.
Yeah.
The police does that, huh?
Correct. So for any people listening from Australia or other countries other than Germany, Germany has this authority called the Ordnungsamt, and they are like they're a collective of people that enforce rules. So if someone's playing loud music too late, the Ordnungsamt will go to that person's house and say, yo, turn the music down. If you park false in the street, if you park in a loading zone or you park in someone's driveway, the police don't turn up, but the Ordnungsamt comes. So these people keep order. In Australia, we just have the police. When there's a problem, you call the police. But here in Germany, there's two different sort of tiers, I would say, of seriousness. If there's a not very serious problem, like loud neighbors or a badly parked car, people call the Ordnungsamt. But if there's a larger problem, then they call the police. And it's a really cool thing because in Australia, we don't really have that. I guess we may have like council workers or city workers. So like Stadt Cologne would like...
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but we don't really have... I guess we have like parking rangers that might go around and write
Parking
tickets.
rangers.
It's so stupid, but...
Buletten.
Yeah, it's stupid, but basically in Australia, the police regulate like 95% of everything, but in Germany, I would say it's like 60% the Ordnungsamt to regulate and 40% the police.
They have it in other countries in Europe as well.
Okay, cool.
But not known as the Ordnungsamt. They have in Spain, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They have Policia Local, Policia Municipal, Policia.
In Italy also.
Carabinieri and so weiter. They have it in other countries as well here.
So different levels of seriousness.
Absolutely,
Cool.
yes.
Very cool.
Definitely.
So you're also working as a manager at a German restaurant? Right now?
So I'm now the manager at Borsalino on Sulpische Straße. So for any tourists visiting Cologne, make sure you head to Sulpische Straße, Borsalino. I was basically employed there during their renovation phase. I helped with the renovation. I also built the new branding for the company. I created a whole new logo, menu card, drinks card. I also had some really cool input with the design of the overall restaurant itself.
Okay.
And now I'm physically in there most days, working and managing the business and keeping everything going. And I'm enjoying it a lot, which is really, really good.
Okay. Is there anything we eat that an Australian
would never eat.
I think so. Right?
This is a good question.
Mädchen.
So we often eat like Wurst, so sausage.
Yeah,
Sausage is very
sausages.
common. I think something that is extremely uncommon would be sauerkraut.
Okay.
That's just not a thing in Australia.
You eat it on hot dogs, sauerkraut.
Nope.
No?
No, we would have...
In America, it's very common now.
We would have a hot dog bun, then we would put in the hot dog, we'd put on some sauce, and then we might add Tomatensoße and mustard and maybe some onions on top,
Onions,
and
yeah.
that's it.
That's
Zwiebel, no? Zwiebel?
Yeah. Zwiebel. Yeah.
That's it.
Zwiebel.
No sauerkraut, that's not a thing.
Okay. Good.
What else? That's a good question.
I
'cause
think it's
actually making me
the
think.
raw meat. It's a met. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Met,
Raw pork meat.
The onion on it. Pork meat, exactly. Yeah.
So is that a Cologne thing or is that a German thing overall? Some people have told me it's like a Cologne cultural thing, and some people have told me it's a German thing.
I think we are the center of pork, raw pork.
Of raw porkness. Of raw porknesses.
Yeah, so it's sort of like raw pork meat on a bread.
In the south of Germany, you don't get this
Okay.
because
But it's known. It's known here. And it's all over Germany. It's known. But I think in Cologne and in the Rhine area,
Yeah, NRW really.
here is it very, very common.
Also that really thick cut cheese. That's a thing here too.
I
right?
meant
Halber Hahn.
Halber Hahn, yeah.
yeah.
Diese.
This is a special Cologne thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Same with Carnival. Very Cologne thing. Very cool. Love Carnival.
Carnival, yeah. What was the first? What was it the first time you met? You get acquainted with Carnival?
Kölsche Carnival. Das ist
Kölsche
meine
Carnival.
Lieblingsfestival. So a friend of mine who's a DJ in Cologne, he was actually traveling to Australia and he needed a DJ to fill in for him. So I said, sure. And
And you didn't know what to.
I had no idea. And my gosh, for anyone listening, this festival is insane. If you are at a computer right now or you're listening to this podcast, open up another window, just search Cologne Carnival and just start reading about it. It's really cool. It's basically a crazy, crazy party.
Yeah.
It starts on the 11th of the 11th, so or in Deutschland, 11.11. And basically it's one day of crazy partying. Where I party, it's mostly where the students go. So all the young people dress up in this fancy dress. I go as a kangaroo, of course, because I come from Australia.
Of course.
But you
Of
have
course.
people dressed up as, Britney Spears, Barbie, fake police officers, like astronauts, anything and everything. And basically everyone just gets drunk and parties and has a great time. There's also a history to Carnival where there's something about a king and there's some parade in the city, but sadly most students don't care about that. For them it's about partying and having fun. But if you do some research about Cologne Carnival, it has a very, very rich history and it goes back many, many years. A DJ friend I knew was going to Australia. He needed a DJ to fill in for him, so that's how I
Also in
became
Australia?
acquainted with Carnival in Cologne. And I've loved it ever since. It's a crazy festival. It's full of fun people. The music you need to play in Cologne as a DJ is very specific songs, which are all centered around Cologne, how amazing Cologne is.
And it's amazing, and something amazing about Cologne. Very amazing Cologne.
Yeah, and
And the Rhine and the Dome.
the Rhine, the Dom, the Leute, the Koscher Junge, and it's really cool because it's unlike anything I've seen around the world. I've DJ'd in many countries, I've DJ'd festivals in other countries, and it's like this festival in Cologne is so specific and so special for the Cologne people. It's like truly unique, and maybe you guys don't realize because you've grown up with it every year. When outsiders come in and see how much you guys love your Stadt, you love your city, you have songs written specifically about your city and a festival built around your city. That's something that I don't know anywhere else that exists in the world. I've DJ'd huge festivals in Australia, Portugal, and I've DJ'd many different places on New Year's Eves where you can play pop music, you can play 70s music, you can play 80s music, you can play 90s music. But here in Cologne Carnival, if you play 70s music, if you play 80s music, if you play the hottest pop song at the time, there will be people unhappy in the venue because they will want to hear carnival music about Cologne. And that's a blessing and a curse. But that's what makes it special. And I think from an outsider coming in, being accepted by the Cologne people, it's really cool and it's really special. And I actually feel really honoured to be a part of not only the city of Cologne, but also the Carnival Festival overall. It's a really, really unique thing you guys have here. So you need to cherish it and love it every year.
And it's a good chance to get in touch with the Ordnungsamt.
Yes,
as well.
So I
Extremely often.
funny you mentioned this. I was going to mention it earlier, but I wanted to create a carnival song that's just called "Fuck the Ordnungsamt," and there's just there's no lyric or no story. It's just like "fuck the Ordnungsamt, fuck the Ordnungsamt," and it just goes on. It goes on for 3 or 4 minutes, and basically, whenever a DJ or a guitarist sees or a band sees the Ordnungsamt, they can just kill the music and play that song. And I think it would either make or break a venue. Maybe the Ordnungsamt comes in and closes them down, or maybe they just keep walking and be like, "Oh, they all hate us." So,
Whoa.
yeah, could be my next project, maybe.
But some fun fact, I've read that Cologne is I think it's only the second place on the most besung cities in the world.
There you go.
I think New York is the first place, and we are second.
There you go. Bloody Frank Sinatra.
But
Yeah, exactly. Bloody Frank Sinatra.
that's a good title for the episode, I think.
Bloody Frank Sinatra. Save that.
I have another question for you. Do you describe yourself as an immigrant or a traveler?
Good question.
Or neither?
I would say
A part-time in Cologne liver.
I would say
Liver.
I would say I was a lost soul that found his second home. I know that's a bit deep, but yes.
Don't say more.
Okay. The end.
No, it's okay.
Actually, I'll say bloody Frank Sinatra.
Bloody Frank Sinatra. The question how you met your girlfriend is killed. Okay. Where do you like to go on vacation in summer? A short trip to Down Under, or rather to Ibiza for the biggest party on earth?
No offense to my friends in Australia, but I've been there for 26 years, so I've seen enough of it. I love to jet to places like Portugal, because there it feels like Australia. You have the sun, you have the sand, you have the surf, you have crazy people, crazy parties, so it kind of feels like Australia. But the cool thing about being in Cologne, you're basically Central Europe. Everything's a small flight away or a medium-sized train journey away. Like, for example, this Friday, I'm getting on a train to Switzerland to play some shows there, like a festival and a nightclub.
Where?
Interlaken.
In Interlaken?
Interlaken. So
I've been there too, and I played there live.
It's a beautiful
I
place.
DJ'd in Interlaken.
Where?
Oh,
God.
I might not say that.
Doesn't matter. All
It's
good.
a long time ago, but it's called Villa Wahnsinn.
Okay. Definitely don't know that one.
Doesn't matter.
Shout out to the guys at the Hangover Interlaken. I will see you guys soon. Yes.
Interlaken, yeah.
Interlaken. Beautiful place. Switzerland, it's nestled around like many amazing mountains. And Interlaken actually means between two lakes.
And James Bond.
Yes, correct. Interlaken and Lauterbrunnen. That's all Jungfrau. That's where a lot of James Bond things have been filmed.
James Bond was a movie there.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it. Switzerland just has a different flavour to Cologne. As you're going on the train, you look at all the old cities as you're travelling past. You see all these beautiful castles on the hillsides, whether they're converted into hotels or they're abandoned now. But the second you reach Switzerland, you notice differences. You notice different style trees, different style houses, different style cars. It's actually really crazy. And it's funny as an Australian that you can just get on a train and be in a different country. It's
Yeah.
just so crazy to us. Yeah.
It's 20 minutes to Belgium, 20 minutes to Netherlands,
Yeah.
30 minutes to Luxembourg.
Yeah. What a place.
Absolutely, yeah. Thorsten, do you have another question? I have,
Yes, of course
some-
I have. Yeah. In every episode, we have a modern talking question. Do you know modern talking?
Tell me
don't
more.
have.
It's a very, very famous band in Europe,
Okay.
in Russia,
I'm nervous now.
and
Continue.
it's very good music.
You're my heart, you're my soul. I keep it shining everywhere I go. You're my heart.
Do you know this?
Have you ever heard it?
It kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah. And Mathias wants to start his career as a modern talking double via streaming platforms. Do you have any secrets for him to push his career?
I do, but they're going to cost him money, you know.
You're
Can't
such an
give out my
idiot.
advice for free. No, it's I guess for performers, especially in this age of digital social media, you need to really connect with your audience. So you need to do like you imagine most people are on their phones scrolling really fast. If something doesn't look good in the first 2 seconds, they're
Yeah.
just going to leave. So you need to be crazy in the first 3 seconds or 4 seconds of any sort of thing you post on social media, because then you get more and more engagement, and then people tend to stay around longer and be like, this Mathias guy is crazy. Maybe I follow him. And then your social profile grows. You get more listeners, more fame.
You think I have a chance as a modern talking double?
Definitely you do.
Because I do Thomas Anders and Dieter Bohlen.
Yeah,
all
both
together.
both of the
Both.
It's a duo, and yeah, he has
Yeah.
both roles.
Also, I'll write you
We talk later.
I'll write you a receipt for the tips I just gave you, you know? Maybe a percentage of your revenue for the next year.
After this episode, I'll show you modern talking. It's mind blowing.
Sounds good.
I want to come back to the German bureaucracy.
Oh, God.
It's a major issue for foreigners. Here you have to go through 1,000 instances of the office just to get a parking ticket.
Correct.
This is, of course, an extreme example, but it shows roughly where the bureaucratic rabbit is running in Germany. Did you have...
Problems with bureaucracy? Yeah, so it's not actually written down anywhere, but there's this general misconception for people or international people visiting Germany when they need to go and get some official paperwork sort of stamped or approved or submitted. They always have to go to these offices, and these offices are always very
crowded?
very crowded, very, very plain, very serious. You know, everyone's very serious. No one's laughing. No one's having a coffee and talking.
Yeah.
Everything's extremely
Like in
serious.
jail.
And what many people don't know is the people that work there, they do speak English, but they are not allowed to speak English
Really?
inside those buildings.
Why?
Yes. Because I guess it's Germany and they want to keep the German language in there. So, yeah, it's strange. But so I used to have this this thought in my brain of being like, oh, all these people at the bloody, like the Lindenthal, for example, it's like, oh, they don't speak English. I hate it there. And it's sort of like, no, they speak English, but they're not allowed to speak English because they are working and representing the country that is Germany. So they have to conduct their business in German, sorry. So when people are visiting, giving their forms and being like, oh, hi, here's my form, they'll just say like, oh, bitteschön, kannst du bitte hier schreiben, diese, das, andere. It's like, oh, sorry, I don't understand. And it's sort of like anyone visiting from overseas basically has to bring a friend with them to assist with the German speaking thing. Now, they speak German in there, but they don't speak casual German, let's say, or like street German or friendly German. They speak like professional German or high German. So it's like even a different level of advanced German.
No, I would say another thing. Thorsten and Steve, I would say not a higher level. I would say they speak a government German.
Correct.
Yeah.
This professional.
This straight
Yes.
government German.
There's no emotion German.
It's not a high level German. It's
Yeah.
just a
robotic German.
robotic
Yeah.
German.
Robotic
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a little bit confronting, but at the same time, it's kind of confusing because if all these people that work there, if they speak English, why wouldn't they just speak English back to make the whole process quicker? You can get the paperwork stamped, you can be on your way, but instead it's often this very stressful event of like, I need someone to come with me, and like I can't even sign my signature correct because I'm so nervous, and like I got to pay money. Where do I go for the money? What does CASA mean? Like, what's this paper for? What's this? What's that? Yeah, it's I guess it's a German characteristic, this German bureaucracy.
I've never heard about this.
That they are not allowed
may not
to-
speak English. Never heard about this.
Next time you go to the Stadt for something, for a new form or a
I
new
ask.
Aufenthalt or whatever, or a driving license,
I ask.
just speak English to them. Just be like, "Hello, I'm here for a new Führerschein." I think is the German word. What's driving license in German?
Führerschein.
Führerschein.
Yeah.
Be like, just go speak in English and be like, I am here for my, and then look at a paper and be like, Führerschein, and see how they treat you. They'll speak German back to you, I guarantee.
Always when I was last time I was for my new motorcycle there, long queue, and when you sit in front of these people at the government, especially at the Kfz
Yeah.
Stelle, ne? Sometimes I think they don't know how to speak English.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's a thing I try. I try next time.
Maybe
try.
they don't do enough podcasts. Maybe they
Maybe.
need to do some more English podcasts.
How do we do it today? Are we okay? Do we speak okay?
The English is amazing here. I just hope that your listeners appreciate the English. I'm trying to speak very clearly and very slowly and break up my
You do.
words.
You do.
Excellent. For your listeners, I will give you an example of perhaps an Australian conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe I can speak for maybe 15 seconds, and then your listeners can pause the podcast and try and think, what the fuck did he just say?
Oh, we can guess. I
Okay.
think. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so here we go. Person one. What's up, mate? What are you doing this Sava? You want to go down to the server and grab a meat pie? Person number two. Yeah, mate, righto, let's head down to the server and grab some pies. What are you doing later on? Person number one. Don't know, I need some durries and maybe hit up the servo again and then hit up the bar. What do you reckon? Person number two. Yeah, sweet as.
Pie.
Okay.
I understand pie.
Pie, correct.
A pie.
So there's
The rest was very, very strange.
It's funny. So Australians traditionally are very laid back. So we're very chill. We have much time for everything, except when we're speaking. We try and make all words shorter.
Brad is talking like this.
Correct. So for example, the Tankstelle auf Deutschland, Tankstelle, petrol station. In Australia, we don't say, I'm going to the petrol station. We would say, I'm going to the servo, which means I am going to the servo. When servo is short for service station, and service station is the
Servo.
old name for petrol station.
Okay.
So what I said before is, what are you doing later the Savo? Do you want to go to the servo? Which means, what are you doing
This
later
evening?
this afternoon?
This afternoon. Yeah.
Do you want to go to the petrol station? So how long did that take me to say? 8 seconds? Whereas I could say, what are you doing later this Savo? You want to go to the servo? That takes 3 seconds. Yeah. So it's like there are some Australian words that get really short, and Australians tend to speak. If you imagine a sentence on a piece of paper, imagine just squishing all the words together. So it makes one huge word. And it's like, what are you doing later this Savo? Instead of, what are you doing later this afternoon? It's crazy, right?
What are you doing later, ever?
What are you doing later this Arvo? Thorsten?
What are you going to say later, Sarah?
Almost. Almost.
What are you going to do is...
Wow.
So good to know that we have a little view on...
I think my English is very
Typical
Australian
Australian.
after the 6th beer.
Yes, this Vulcan Bio Pale Ale from Bioland is actually really, really good.
I love it.
It's going down great as a third beer.
I love it.
To be honest. I love it.
I love you all.
Any questions left, Matthias? Do you have any questions? Something you ever
Sure.
wanted to ask a German guy?
Sure. I know how I know Mathias. Thorsten, how do you know Mathias? Where did you two meet? How are you affiliated? What is your connection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've met about some common friends.
Shorshi's place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already
Right.
had him here at the
Yeah.
podcast.
And he played the music on a wedding. And then we had the idea at 3 o'clock in the morning, I think, for this podcast.
Yeah, but we know each other longer.
Yeah.
But that's when
10
all,
years?
That's when all great ideas are made, right?
Maybe.
3
Yeah.
a.m. after
3
some
a.m. is
alcohol.
the best
Of
time
course.
for great ideas.
Yes. No, it was good. It was a good evening with loads of alcohol and loads of crazy ideas. Cigars, rum,
Yeah.
steak. We had big steaks on this evening. Wow, fucking hell. Steve, I have a final question.
Okay.
And then we are coming to the plot of the evening. And I want to know, what are your plans for the next 5 years? Maybe next 5 years, maybe. Or are there no plans and you let your life decide what happens?
Good second half of the question. I sort of live by both methods of life. I try to have a plan, but at the same time, I also like to be spontaneous. So if I had to give an honest answer, my next 5-year plan would include some form of building a house. So whether that's a tiny house, like many people see on YouTube, or these people buying like a shipping container and building it into a cool house, or whether I purchase like an old van, like an old VW or something, and I build it out into like a van, like a living van. That's my sort of short-term plan for 5 years. But also, at the moment, life is so spontaneous. I could be home in Australia next year. I could be in Germany for the next 10 years. I don't know. And that's what I love about my life, is I try to not set anything in concrete. I like to live a bit fluid and sort of go with the flow, you know? I don't want to be that rock in the river that sort of divides everything and creates some sort of disturbance on the water. I try to sort of go where life takes me. But overall, one of my major life goals is to build my own house and live in it. So whether it's a small, tiny house, or whether it's a van on wheels, or whether it is a huge, real house in Germany or Australia, that is my life goal.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
There we go.
Sounds as my thoughts.
Excellent.
So for now, I'm finished with my questions. For that time, thank you very much, Steve,
No problem at all.
having you as a guest. But now, Thorsten,
Yeah. I'm very excited.
yeah, because Steve has written his own poem.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm quite, I don't know if I'm nervous or excited for this. Thank you, girls. Look, girls, we're almost done. Just stay outside,
There's
girls.
a 100 now.
I know they're there.
So,
Here's a short poem I've written from my experience here today. And yeah, hopefully I don't take up too much of your time. And thank you for everyone for tuning in. If you guys do have the time, please sort of subscribe to this podcast.
Right.
Because, yeah, we're here, we're showing the love. And I really thank you guys for inviting me on. I feel really like honored to be here.
Thank
So
you for having
you so much.
It was really great.
And I've featured on many music festivals and many radio stations, but this is my first ever podcast.
Really?
Whoa.
So I will never forget this experience.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, so poem.
Okay.
A love of music is what brings us here today, and what fun we had, I must say. Tasting all of this delicious beer has filled me with such fun and much cheer. We are here in Cologne, a great city to be, and thank you all for listening to me. The Rhine, the Dom, the historic city gates, Cologne, amazing city to show my Aussie mates. I am a DJ and producer living in Cologne, and with my friends, like you both, I feel never alone. Music is what brings us together, and for many people, this will continue forever. Thank you for today, me being your guest. I guess it makes me feel a little blessed. To all the people listening online, I hope you had an entertaining time. Whether you're listening from local or from afar, we thank you for listening this far. To the guys with me here today, it was truly fun, I must say. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. I guess that it is now time for me to go.
Ah,
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you so much.
thank you for being here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And it's a pleasure for us, maybe, that we have now some listeners in Australia.
Yeah, definitely.
Who can join you
Yeah.
on your journey through Cologne, Germany, Europe, wherever it may take you.
Excellent. I hope you get many listeners from Australia, Canada, America, India. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in.
Even Pakistan, yes.
Pakistan. Really, I have many followers from India, Pakistan, Canada. Let's hope we build a whole new audience for this English podcast. And maybe this leads to maybe some more English podcasts in the future. Maybe not, but
Maybe.
it's the beauty of life. You just never know what's going to happen next.
Exactly. So for my case, thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks.
Vielen Dank.
It was a great time.
Schlaf schön, alles.
Schlaf schön. Komm gut heim.
Ja.
Und wir verabschieden uns jetzt wieder, ne?
Das machen wir, genau.
Dann sagen wir Tschüss und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Podcast wieder. Thorsten, ich
Ja.
werde dich vermissen.
Ja. Wenn euch das gefallen hat, if it was good, then please share this, like it, leave a comment. If you have any questions, leave a comment. We have all your websites, social media stuff, and so on
Excellent.
It's all linked.
linked in the show notes. So get good.
Get connected?
Get connected. Get connected. Yeah.
And now comes the difficult thing to say our website. www.hackgedicht.de. I don't know if anybody understands this, but maybe Steve can.
Maybe we can link
spell
that
it.
as well.
We do, but I wanted to say it.
Okay.
I want to say it.
Well, the good thing is I can push this back on my social media too, so no one has to listen and understand. They can just click on the button.
Exactly.
That's that. We're in a
That's the
generation.
future, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
where
We forget one thing.
It's not the future. It's the future is now. So people don't type into internet addresses anymore. They just click on a button and it takes them there.
So crazy.
Wir haben was vergessen.
What?
www.roller-revolution.de.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.